Okay, this video series is going to be called Why the 1911 is the Greatest Handgun Ever Made. Okay, Tom from Weapons Education has a phenomenal video where he talks about the history of this gun. And because I'm a moron, I forgot to look up the exact date when the military adopted it. I will write it in the screen. I make the stupidest fucking mistakes in the world tonight, my friends. Okay. The military wanted... This is still empty. These videos are 1 minute apart. The military wanted a new handgun. They had a double-action 38 caliber revolver, and it didn't do shit against guys that were stoned out of their gourd and in a fit of rage. The military wanted a new gun. At the time, people were transitioning from revolvers to semi-autos. The semi-auto was the latest craze, but no one got the semi-automatic right. The Luger is a piece of shit. I don't care who's embarrassed by that. It's a piece of shit. I've had guys tell me that if they drop it and they pick it up, they have to clean it. Okay? That's okay at the range, but not in the combat, especially in the military. There was one gun that was okay. It was called the broom handle. It had a magazine in front of the action, rack the slide, put 10 rounds in like a rifle, close it, and fire. Winston Churchill used one when he was actually a reporter. Winston Churchill was a soldier, then he became a reporter reporting on military conflicts, and he used the broom handle to save his life. It's called the broom handle because the handle was like a fucking broom handle. It was the first gun to be fired on to be semi-automatic was a predecessor of the Luger. What the fuck? I couldn't think of the name. I'll write it in the thing. It had a mechanical excuse me. It had a mechanical arm. It had a 90 degree angle grip, which is impossible to hold, and it was just ridiculously fucking stupid. I'm gonna write it in the screen, and you can look it up. It was ridiculously fucking stupid. So then that became the Luger, because the inventor of the Luger reworked that design, and the broom handle gun. Those were the first 3 semi-automatic guns. And if there's another one in there that I missed, please tell me. And these guns, some of them were good, most of them were shit. Okay, of those 3, only one was good. The broom handle. John Browning, the greatest gun designer that ever lived without question, designed this system to have 2 components, 2 split parts of a gun. One part of the gun would rack back, eject the spent casing, and pick up the new round. This was not the first slide gun ever. It was nowhere near it. Mr. Browning had done several slide guns before this in several different calibers. Mr. Browning was experimenting for himself. He was working for Colt, I think, at the time. Yeah, working for Colt. The military was experimenting on their own. The military knew they wanted a full auto. They knew they wanted a 45. Mr. Browning took the 45 bullet out of the Wild West revolver and put it in a shorter casing so it could be loaded into a semi-automatic. They knew they wanted a semi-automatic, they knew they wanted a 45, and they knew they wanted an American product. Hence, they needed to have John Browning. This story is very long. Tom knows more than I do, so check him out. It's ridiculously unbelievable how much time they spent. Over 10 years looking for this gun, looking for that gun, this experiment. Check my time. Oh, I'm way under. Way under. Pounded about my time. When they finally did adopt this gun, Mr. Browning himself was at the trials. He brought some of his apprentices with him. And it blew the competition away. According to legend, they put this gun in water, they put this gun in dirt, I think they put it in fucking formaldehyde. They tortured this gun to make it break, and it would not break. And it was the original, and that was the beginning of the dream. The gun remained in effect for the military's standard issue weapon from 1911 to 1985. In 1985, the Beretta 92 came into effect. Since then, this is a specialist weapon with the military. Army Delta Force uses this. Army Green Beret uses this. Marine Force Recon uses this weapon. In fact, Marine Force Recon, I heard they used to use old school 1911s that they took out of the closet, and I've heard they've recently gone to using a 1911 made by Kimber in my hometown. Now, the 1911 was patented by Mr. Browning. He owned the patent to it. Back then, people were not interested in patents and copyrights and stuff like that. So, I'm looking at the Three Stooges in the 1930s. The Three Stooges would get a job, film a movie short. It would be shown in every single movie theater in the country, and they didn't get royalties for it. Royalties, patents, copyrights, people didn't think about them at the time. Mr. Browning made an astronomical amount of money compared to, especially even by fucking today's standards, he made a lot of money. But he patented this gun. After a while, he sold the patent to Colt. He probably sold it to them for less than $50, I don't know. But patents were sold, bought and sold. That's the way it was. Colt had this gun patented for several years, and before Mr. Browning died in 1926, the patent expired. After the patent expired, anybody and everybody can make one. No one owns this gun. No one owns this gun at all. Anyone that can legally make a gun can make it. Anyone that can legally sell a gun can sell it. There is no patent right. Now, obviously in World War II, we needed to make guns fast. So anybody that had a machine was asked to make a gun. Now, from a law enforcement perspective, I already talked about the military. The military uses from 1911 to 1985 as the primary gun, and from 1985 to present as a secondary gun. This t-shirt I'm wearing from the Army Channel, 100 years still on duty, that is not an exaggeration. This gun is still on duty today. Law enforcement. Every law enforcement agency, almost without question, that had a semi-automatic between the teens and the 70s used a 1911. They mostly use revolvers, but if they had a semi-auto, it was a 1911. I think the Texas Rangers to this day use a 1911. I could be wrong, but I've seen video footage of Rangers with this weapon. LAPD SWAT uses the Kimber, I think. Hostage rescue team. FBI has a special forces, is a special response team called Hostage Rescue Team. They are all special forces veterans. You have to be a special forces veteran in order to join. They use this exact gun I'm holding, the Springfield Armory loaded. This exact one in my hands they use. So it's the primary gun for the FBI is the Glock 23, which I also have. The specialist gun for the FBI is this. This is always a specialist weapon. This weapon inspired every semi-automatic you can see. Glock, SIG, Beretta, HK. There is not a single solitary weapon, semi-automatic handgun in existence today, with the exception of maybe a few 22s, that do not draw inspiration from this. Every weapon is the same. Slide, frame, recoil spring guide rod, and barrel. They might be different calibers, they might look different, they might be different materials, they might be single action, they might be double action, there might be some kind of safe action like Glock makes, there might be double action Kellerman like SIG makes, but every semi-automatic gun without question in production today is based on this weapon. Because this is just proven reliability. Mr. Browning made this in a shop in the Utah Territory with the basic fundamentals of life, of machinery. And in today's world of space and NASA and DNA and brain surgery, we cannot make a better handgun than he made in his shop in Utah. I know. I have obsessive compulsive disorder about the freaking time. And I got a clock next to me and I'm still doing this. I'm still checking the time. Competition shooters. Competition shooters use this gun. Home defense. A lot of people use this for their home defense gun. You're looking at one of them now. This gun is available in 4 different frame sizes. The GI stands for general issue, like the military, because the average soldier carried this weapon. The Commander, which is a 3/4 of an inch shorter with the same size frame, was originally intended, I think, for officers. The Defender, which is a 3-inch barrel, same 7-round capacity. And the Officer, which is 3-inch barrel with a 6-round capacity, so the grip is obviously shorter. And this is it. This weapon has 2 drawbacks. Number 1, it's heavy. Number 2, 7 rounds is very low capacity, plus 1 in the chamber is very low capacity for the time. Smith & Wesson M&P 45, 10 rounds. Glock 21, 13 rounds. There's an an FN, 14 rounds. So this gun with its 8-round capacity, 7 plus 1 in the mag, 1 in the chamber, is low capacity. However, that is it. For 100 years now, this gun is still the standard that all other guns are measured by. That pose has been the last thing that many enemies of the United States have seen. No matter where that enemy was for many, many years, even today, Marine Force Recon, Delta Force, and Green Beret, even as they hunt the deserts for terrorists today, they carry with them this weapon. So there are still terrorists today in this world. The last thing they will see is this, the muzzle of this gun. It might be a Kimber, might be a Colt, might be an Ed Brown, might be a custom gun that was made by some gunsmith by hand, but this gun is the weapon of choice for the professionals. No question. The professionals want this gun. And I'm going to give you a prime example of that. Delta Force is the Army's top secret special forces unit. They're the worst kept secret in the world. Army try to keep cool about it, but they've been portrayed in movies, mostly fictional. 2 of them got the Medal of Honor in Somalia carrying this gun. They had Gary Gordon had an CAR-15 and Randy Shugart had an M14, but they both had 1911 handguns. Delta Force's new rifle, check my time again please, I know I'm crazy. Delta Force's new rifle, I have to pause soon. Delta Force's new rifle is the HK416. The HK416, I've seen designers shoot 30-round magazines on fully automatic, hundreds of rounds, take the bolt out, the bolt is cool. The HK416, they have a military version for the military, they have an automatic version for the military, a semi-automatic version for the civilian world. The HK416 is twice as much money as a traditional AR M16 rifle. Delta Force uses it because they're so cool and they're so involved in world action, they get the best of the best. So Delta Force chooses to carry a $2,000 AR type rifle that is extraordinarily expensive and cutting edge. They choose as their handgun a 100-year-old gun that was designed by a Mormon on the outskirts of society. He was literally in a shop in the Utah Territory, and they choose this gun. They can have any gun they want. This is the one they go for. I'm going to pause and sum it up.